right, you guys, welcome back to another Mountain Buff show. I got Derick Roskelley here with Gen Power Pro. We're going to be talking about generators today, the importance of them, and just all the installation and all that type of stuff. I'm kind of going to let Derick take it away just a little bit. So first question, I guess, is just besides the obvious, like the generator runs the house or runs a portion of the house as far as power goes. Power goes out, you have a transfer switch and all this type of stuff, and the home stays. Either the entire home or the portion of the home has power. What else? What other conveniences or?
Well, and you nailed it. Like, people know what generators are. I think the biggest thing we sell, and we're working golf tournaments like crazy. Like, we want to sell peace of mind. Like, you don't have to worry if you're on vacation. You know, in a digital age, you can get on an app and see if your generator's tuned in, if there's any codes getting thrown. So it's just the peace of mind of whether you're at home and a big storm comes through, or you're golfing in Florida and the power goes out, you don't have to worry about anything. Sure. Like you said, the transfer switch will automatically kick it on. On average, it's 10 to 12 seconds. It'll recognize the outage. And yeah, like you said, you can run portions of the house. You can determine what you want to go. But most people just want to, have enough power to run the whole home. And, like as we break down numbers, like getting the wattage right, like it's not a huge difference having enough power to do the whole thing. So that's kind of where we're at, is the peace of mind. Never having to worry about power. I mean, in South Weber, we've experienced more power outages this summer than we ever have. So kind of talking with power companies and looking at the future, I just think it's a great investment for anybody, and you guys are the real estate experts, but anybody that owns a home, I think we're ahead of the game, but it's a great option to have.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about was every home ownership is different. Everybody owns a home and everybody has different scenarios or situations in the home. And so one thing I thought about was, not all the time do people just need power in the house for internet or for calling or for TV or whatever. Like, there's a lot of things people got to have power for: medical situations or food storage or food or all that type of stuff. And all those are important factors that a generator can help alleviate if you're able to have those, that power kick on automatically. Or like you said, if you're out of state and you're in Florida, right, and power goes out, you don't got to worry about your entire groceries, all your stuff in the fridge, freezer going bad, and then you're having to spend $400 or $500 to replace all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to hit on it, and you got a head start on me, but medical necessity, it can become a tax write-off. If, even think of a type 1 diabetic who has to keep insulin cold, there are some tax benefits for medical necessity, medical equipment, people that work from home. If you work X amount of hours from home, it can be a write-off that way. So there are some options, but yeah, like just you mentioned the food and how many hunters, we're from the same hometown. Like, dudes have freezers full of game meat, and they'll put them on different switches just to protect it. But in the event of a big power outage, like they could lose a lot of groceries. Sump pumps, if a sump pump goes out because there's no power and your basement floods, I mean, you probably know the numbers, anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 for a 2-inch flood. Yeah, there's just a lot of ways to protect, a big investment like your house and things you care about.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing I kind of want to talk about was kind of the purchasing process. I know there's still a lot of this is still in the new phase, but when you're purchasing a home, you're either buying a new build, you're building a house with a builder, or it's in the process of being built, or you're buying an existing home. Sure. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about what does it look like with you guys specifically when you're doing that?
Good question. So we did a bid last week in Kaysville. We do free estimates, free bids. We're happy to come out. How the process works on a pre-existing house, especially, it's either if I meet the person, it'll either be me, our owner, and we usually have an estimator that'll come out with us, and we want to take pictures of your boxes, where your main power is at on the outside of the house, where your gas line's at. So we'll take pictures, take it to the office, kind of crank out the numbers. We always do free estimates if you're just curious that way. New builds is the route that I've been targeting a lot this summer, and that's a perfect time to do it. And if you could roll that into your home loan, which is something we've been trying to get people to do. I mean, 10 to 12 grand over a 30-year loan. I mean, minimal. And you know it better than me. So, talk to your builder, would be the advice I'd give somebody. See if it's something they offer. I've met with a handful of builders this summer. We're trying to become the preferred vendor. Say a client wants to build and they say, hey, we're interested in generators. Like, if that would be the time to do it if we could come out and do it from the start. But yeah, ask the question. Like
Sure.
we're always happy to do free estimates. Usually we have your estimate back to you in 2 to 3 days max after meeting with our estimators and installers.
Cool.
But yeah, pretty smooth process. Usually, we have a wholesale account. So assuming the generator's in stock, usually we'd be in and out. Everything's ready to go within 2 weeks tops. So
Cool.
yeah, it's a pretty slick process if everything's available.
Now, I did want to talk about a couple different things here. So obviously with a new build, we talked about it's the best time to do it because everything's opened and everything's available and you're able to basically just prep for the generator. That way when the home's built, you can just throw it on and power it up. Now I want to talk to you about a little bit about the existing, what might be the process for, obviously every home's going to be a little bit different,
Sure.
but what might be a typical process for somebody as far as the invasiveness of the installation?
Yeah, good question. There are some codes. You can't be 5 feet. You can't be 5 feet or closer to any window or air vent that goes back into the house. There's some code. You have to be 2 feet away, So again, that's why we're taking pictures and with the pre-existing house, sometimes you have two options. It's either got to be here or here. Whereas with a new build and you can plan for it, it's a little bit different.
For sure.
But yeah, just meeting code, keeping it 5 feet away from any opening going back into the house. Of course, it's got to be on like a cement slab. So yeah, there's some things that way. But again, that's what we come out and talk to the customer. Usually they want to walk around the house with them. And it's perfect. Yeah, we love just kind of talking them through the process. But yeah, like you said, tying into that main power box for a transfer switch, usually you have to up your gas line. So determining where would be best to do that. And again, that's why we work with an installer and estimator we trust, but just kind of figuring out the best, least invasive way to get that generator tied in. They do run off natural gas, which is the preferred source. They can run off liquid propane as well. And some of the real doomsday preppers, they'll have the 50, 100-gallon propane drums just as a backup to a backup. So those are the two main sources that our Kohlers run off of. But in Utah, we do have pretty readily natural gas, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do know that. So I used to be, I'm an electrician as well, so I know a little bit about all of this stuff. And so I do know that for this example, if you are looking to get a generator and you would like it to power up a portion of the home, which is not, if it's an existing home, can be very invasive, just depending on where panels are at and able to add a sub panel and tie everything in and move everything over. So it can be fairly invasive. But if you're looking to just power up your entire house, obviously it requires a little bit bigger of a generator, right? But it's far less invasive. And obviously you get the convenience of your entire house being able to be powered up. You don't have to get into the home and run wire into a new panel and all that type of stuff. So
sure.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Man, there's so much I want to talk about. Going back to the estimate process, I'll leave a QR code with Kate if anybody has any questions, but they're simple questions. What's your square footage?
For
like
sure.
we want to make sure we get you enough generator that you don't have to worry about, picking which section of the house you want to run. Again, in an emergency, most people aren't going to be running their whole house. It's going to be HVAC, heating and cooling, maybe a TV for, if you have a pool or hot tub, that kind of changes the dynamic, but most people aren't going to be, worried about running a hot tub in the case of an emergency. So one more cool thing, like, one of the biggest questions I get, and as I'm working these golf tournaments, I'll tell people I sell whole home generators and they'll be like, let me guess, Generac. It's like, well, that's a good guess, but we actually sell Kohler. Again, both great companies. I don't know as much about Generac. With Kohler, it's a 5-year warranty, up to, I think it's 3,000 hours of runtime.
Okay.
They'll run a weekly maintenance program just to make sure everything's good. A lot of people can pick how you want to service it. We recommend quarterly, semi-annual at least. Some people want to do it every month just to make sure there's nothing to worry about. That's, that's stuff that can be worked out after the fact. But yeah, just the peace of mind, man. Like,
For
sure. We all use the internet. We all do these things, but just not having to worry about a power outage, I think it goes a long way.
What might maybe like the annual maintenance cost?
There's a lot of variables. Usually it's a simple oil change, making sure all the components are good. Kohler will run and test itself weekly.
Cool.
And if there are any issues, you can schedule a service right from the app. It's pretty cool. It's called OnQ Plus. And it'll just kind of, you can always log into that app, see right where your generator's at or request a service.
Awesome.
So yeah, just kind of, everybody's a little bit different. I wouldn't be an every month kind of guy, but quarterly somebody comes out. Again, if it's just a simple oil change, to be $99.
Cool.
So yeah.
Not too bad then. Anything else you think it would be important for a potential customer?
You know, we could go on and on and on. I just appreciate the opportunity. Again, as a homeowner myself, like we all want to protect our assets. And
Absolutely.
I think, you know, we talk to a lot of people with solar, and we could go another hour talking about solar. Just recognizing if you have solar, you can still be off the grid really quick when your battery runs out. You know, if you have a Tesla battery, great. If you're an EV owner, you do got to think of those things running out over a sustained power outage. So, you know, EV owners, we try to target them hard. Like you would not want to be unable to charge your vehicle over an extended power outage.
Absolutely.
So,
well, and
again, not trying to scare people. Hopefully this isn't an issue, but that just goes with the peace of mind. Like, you know,
there's a pretty big price difference from a generator to solar.
Absolutely.
Solar is extremely expensive, and not that it's a bad thing. It's a great product, but there's a large price difference between a generator and solar. And realistically, I feel like a generator is a little bit more reliable with a natural gas coming into it, and then also the backup with the propane if you had to.
Yep.
So
a little bit of price. I mean, every job's a little bit different. I'm glad you brought up the price gap between solar and a generator. We're usually coming in around 11 to 13 on your bigger single family homes. So of course, like smaller homes that require a smaller generator, of course, you're going to be less. So it's kind of the sweet spot. We all know what solar costs, or have, a rough idea for the most part. And it is a affordable option to keep in mind.
If you guys have any questions, Derick, I want you to just kind of leave maybe a number. I know you have a QR code. Does that have a contact on there?
It does. Yep. That'll link them right to my info. Derick, Derick at genpowerpro.com. My phone number is 801-644-6663. Yeah, I'll leave some cards with the QR code. And yeah, again, free estimate. If you're even thinking about it, let us just come out and talk you through the process. And yeah, we're happy to answer questions in person, on the phone, over email. And I guess my last thing is, and I've talked to Kate, I've fished with Kate a little bit. Any realtors that have customers or clients that are interested, like we do have a kickback program. And so we're happy to make it worth everybody's time, just getting people in touch with us that do have an interest in generators. So yeah, anybody listening, if you want to reach out about our incentive program, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, Derick. Thanks, Kate.
In today. Yeah, of course, man.